2026 is the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, of the birth of the United States of America. Revolution Untold uncovers the overlooked stories of the cradle of democracy, of the people that shaped a nation in Williamsburg, Virginia. The past is not complete until all its voices are heard. This is Revolution Untold. On a brisk October day in 1824, the last living Revolutionary War general, the Marquis de Lafayette, was making his way through a parade thrown in his honor on the streets of Richmond, Virginia, when suddenly he recognized a familiar face in the crowd. The man he saw had served him many years earlier, aiding him in his triumphant victory alongside George Washington at Yorktown.
It was I who the great general saw, but I did not serve him as an infantryman like many of the veterans crowded round me. I served him as a spy. My name is James Armistead Lafayette, and this is the story of how I helped General Lafayette achieve victory at Yorktown, and in the process, forge my own path to freedom.
Even though it was not unusual for free and enslaved black men to serve the Patriot cause, most were prohibited from positions of distinction and authority, remaining privates for the duration of the conflict. In contrast, James Armistead Lafayette achieved the extraordinary when he served the Marquis de Lafayette in the highly dangerous roles of spy and double agent. Particular details surrounding James' youth are hard to come by. However, it is known that he was likely born around 1748 and grew up on the New Kent County estate of his enslavers, the Armistead family. It is unclear if James met the Marquis de Lafayette when his enslaver, William Armistead, was serving as the state commissary of stores in Richmond, or in New Kent, as the general marched his dwindling army through in the summer of 1781. In July of 1781, with the permission and support of William Armistead, James joined the ranks of the Patriot cause and began serving the Marquis de Lafayette as a spy.
During that summer, I served the Marquis at the peril of my own life to convey intelligence across enemy lines of the most secret and important kind. First, I traveled to Portsmouth and deftly infiltrated the English encamped there, obtaining employment with them as a forager, as other black slaves were frequent to do. Once I had integrated myself to the English forces, I began to collect and document vital information about their planned movements, delivering these enclosures through enemy lines to the good Marquis. This was very treacherous, because at any moment, I could be caught and killed by the Redcoats, or Patriots who lacked knowledge of my mission. Soon, in August, Cornwallis began to move his Redcoats from Portsmouth to Yorktown. Thanks to my intelligence, the Patriots were already one step ahead.
Shortly after Cornwallis began his big move, the Marquis de Lafayette would write a fateful letter to General Washington on July 31st, 1781.
A correspondent of mine, servant to Lord Cornwallis, writes on the 26th July at Portsmouth and says his master, Tarleton, and Simcoe are still in town but expect to move. He says the greatest part of the army has already embarked.
The crucial information, however, was yet to come, as the Marquis de Lafayette and Washington were unsure of whether Cornwallis and his forces were moving to stay at Yorktown. James would soon inform the Marquis of this second crucial development in late August of 1781. The Marquis recognized the importance of these movements and began to feel more confident about a Patriot victory, writing to Washington.
Should a French fleet now come in Hampton Road, the British Army would, I think, be ours.
The Marquis de Lafayette seized on the opportunity presented to him, as he knew that the French Admiral de Grasse was close by, and urged Washington to collect his troops from New York and encircle the British at Yorktown on September 1st, 1781. Just several months after James had begun his intelligence, the French fleet arrived, and the Redcoats were soon defeated.
After Cornwallis surrendered, he requested a cordial meeting with General Washington, and I was present for the affair. When the defeated general arrived, he spied me in the corner of the room and recognized me with great surprise. I had taken great pains to deceive General Cornwallis, as he was a very cautious man who was so shy of his papers that I seldom could get at them. Upon seeing me, Cornwallis realized how the Patriot forces were so easily able to anticipate his movements, and he was shocked that the servant he had thought was spying on the Americans for him was actually providing the Continental Army with vital intelligence.
When the Marquis stepped out of his processional carriage in Richmond in 1824, many years after his triumphant victory, he embraced James Lafayette, now an old man just as he was, as a freed man. Following the war, James was recognized for the vital and dangerous role he performed in the Patriot cause, and his petition for freedom was unanimously granted by the Virginia General Assembly. Upon gaining his freedom, James would choose the surname Lafayette in honor of his friend, the great general. James Lafayette left in his wake a rich legacy as a self-sufficient property owner and free Black Virginian, and was immortalized in a portrait by noted artist John Blennerhassett Martin, which was distributed, along with his story, in handbills and newspapers as far away as Salem, Massachusetts. By sharing these stories, we remember more fully, understand more clearly, and expand the story of the American Revolution. Revolution Untold is generously supported by the Williamsburg 250 Commission, William and Mary Strategic Cultural Partnerships, and the Society of 1918 at William and Mary, and is made possible in part by a grant from VA 250 Commission in partnership with Virginia Humanities.